Continue to try and decide what we're going to do here with these access windows. And the reason we need the access windows is up here in this corner will be to like access the door handle if you had to get in there and get after the linkage that connects to it. Then also comes down to the actuator, which would be down here, and the linkage from the door handle to the actuator and the exterior door handle there. And then on this side over here is if we had to get after the tri-window bracket that's going to be in here somewhere. And also too, if we end up removing the window actuator. So my first thought was, rather than slicing up and making several windows in here, what I'm attempting to do is I'm just going to put the center support in where the door handle is. And the idea is I'm just going to slice this in half, and then it should make it relatively simple. And then, you know, if you have to remove one half of the panel to access stuff, or the one half first and then the other one, if you need to do that in chronological order, to say, for example, remove this side to make this side open so that you can get in and remove the window actuator, for example. So we've got our center support in here, and we've drilled our holes for the next step, and we'll hopefully this will work by being able to remove this panel. Already I think that one of the problems may be disconnecting the linkage from the inside door handle, but maybe it can be undone from the door and then pulled back enough through the slot to basically disconnect it, or I can make this slot larger in order to be able to disconnect it. Straight off, I noticed one of the issues with modifying this outside door handle is access to get in there. If you ever need to remove this thing, you can access those two holes, but this last one here is almost impossible to see or kind of get at with this pillar in the way. So the more access you have, the better, if you ever had to change that. And that was one of the ideas, as to try and basically split this thing in half. And the idea being, if we remove this half of the panel, then we can access all this stuff on this side that we need to, if ever we needed to change out the door handle or the actuator over here, or had to adjust anything or do something like that. And then the only other thing would be the window operator that's bolted in here. So we've got our support in the back here, and I robbed that little piece off of our what was left of our door skin, and I just temporarily put that in there, because if I fasten that in there solid, I won't be able to slip this up through the top here. That's how I've been getting it in and out of there. So I'll leave that for the time being. And the other part too is there's only just, I guess, the right here is where it fastens with the tri-window, and nothing up at the top. So I'd want to make sure that I got this kind of positioned really well. And when I fasten this, and I think actually what I'll be doing is I'll be kind of putting some pressure this way to kind of force the top corner up and into the door. So we'll wait with that, but we've got it ready to go. And then we'll fit the skin on and see what it looks like. We've got the first half just temporarily screwed on here. It's got two screws kind of temporarily hold this thing in place, make sure everything's all lined up. And looks like some material can be added here. These holes are awfully close to the edge. and possibly some material taken off at the top so that there's a little bit of clearance there. So this will be the one that basically kind of stays on for the most part. And then the idea is this one will be the removable one to get in at our door handle like we talked about, and at our linkages and stuff in here. Here we are with both the panels on and the door handle, and it looks pretty good. Again, we're gonna have to probably trim the top here so this lays in flush against there better. I think this side here is not too bad. We would rework all of this on the next door. And so this is what I was kind of worried about here, is we've got our hole in here for our linkage, and before we take off this panel, we'd have to remove our handle here. And so if we take these two bolts out, I don't know how far out this is going to pull because the linkage will be stuck by the panel. And so maybe might have to make this a little larger so that you can get in there and you can pop that linkage out. Once this door handle's off, then we should be able to take off this panel. This is where that channel is for the window operator, and it ends up going like right to the edge here. So my hope is that you would be able to pull the panel out and slide it this way, and it would come out fairly easy. But we might have to put another window in here if that's not the case. We test fit the panel here, and we got a little interference issues right in here. So either we trim that off, or the other option may be to move this that way to get some better clearance there. Here we are with the plastic panel fitted on there. It's looking pretty good. We've got our holes lined up in here, if you can see, but we've got our holes lined up for the pull handle, and then as well in here too. All the holes line up, and the panel seems to line up pretty good. It's not exactly flat up against the door yet, but I've only just got a couple holding it on, and we've also got them screws in our way too. So pretty confident that with a little bit of working on it that it'll fit flush.